Hello and welcome to 5 First Impressions, a series where I take a look at 5 games that I recently played for the first time and give a short review. First up is Animals on Board. This is an I Split You Choose game where you are putting the animals into groups and then drafting them into your boat, and you are trying not to end up with 2 of the same animal, because if you do, they will be worth 0 points, and you want to have the most points at the end of the game. So, interesting game, but ultimately, there wasn't anything that stood out to me. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. That's Animals on Board. Next is Between Two Cities. In this game, you are building 2 different cities at the same time, one with the player to your left and one with the player to your right, and you will score at the end of the game the city that has the fewest points. So this leads to an interesting dynamic where you are trying to make sure that they remain balanced, so that you don't score a very low city. I liked it, but there was a bit of a disconnect between the art and the components. The box art and the tile art were different. The tile art was a bit generic, kind of city building, and then the tokens were the Eiffel Tower and the Taj Mahal, which didn't really quite mesh up with the rest of the game. Felt a bit disjointed, but I still enjoyed it. That's a 7 out of 10 for Between Two Cities. Next is Harmonies. In this game, you have a hexagonal grid, and you are taking little tokens and trying to stack them up to score animals and other different points. And it's a pleasant game, but the entire time I was playing it, I was thinking of Cascadia, which is another game where animals score different points, and it also uses hexes. And the whole time I kept thinking that I just felt like it was a worse version of Cascadia. So I'm giving Harmonies a 7 out of 10 for that reason. Next is Pit Crew, which is a simultaneous card play game where you are trying to play cards to fix your car in the pit stop and do some laps. However, there's an element of the game that is heavily dependent on dice rolling, and this part can be really unbalanced. For example, you might roll the die and move several spaces forward on the lap, or you might keep getting unlucky and not move at all. And for that reason, it felt a bit swingy, and it was also a little long for what it is, so I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. That is Pit Crew. Last here is Villages of Valeria, which is kind of your generic fantasy theme, and you are selecting a phase and building a tableau. But what I didn't like about it is the fact that every time you select a phase on your turn, everyone else has to determine if they are going to follow through with that phase. And it really bogs the game down to the point where I wasn't really enjoying it. I would much rather play a game like Race for the Galaxy where you pick a phase and everyone just does it at the same time. You don't have to worry about going around in player order and following the rules to make sure that the discard piles are correct. And there's just a lot of upkeep, and I didn't really quite enjoy that. So 4 out of 10 for Villages of Valeria. Let me know your thoughts about these 5 games in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in another Board Games, Bricks, and Hobbies video. Take care.